In Denmark, people sip coffee in cemeteries, hunt for giant trolls in the forest, and celebrate the burning of a witch every summer. From an underwater bridge to a country that actually schedules a national beer day, this is not the Denmark your geography teacher told you about. Today, we're uncovering 15 mind-blowing and eccentric facts that make Denmark unlike anywhere else on Earth. Stick around for number 15 because it will completely change how you think about happiness. Fact 1. Cemetery picnics are a thing. Picture this. You're strolling through Copenhagen on a sunny afternoon, coffee in hand, when you spot a couple stretched out on a blanket, sipping wine and laughing, right between rows of gravestones. Sounds bizarre, right? But in Denmark, cemeteries aren't just for mourning, they're for living. Locals treat them like peaceful parks, perfect for picnics, reading, or even romantic dates. Assistens Cemetery, for example, isn't just the resting place of famous Danes like Hans Christian Andersen. It's also a green oasis in the middle of the city where joggers weave between graves and children play under ancient trees. Why? Because in Denmark, there's a deep cultural comfort with death. It's not hidden away, it's part of life. Cemeteries here are designed to be beautiful and inviting, not creepy places to avoid. The idea is that by spending time there, you remember to appreciate life and maybe even honor those who came before you. Strange, yes, but strangely warm. Death here isn't a shadow, it's a quiet companion to the living. Fact 2. A city that burns a witch. Every summer, Danes take that comfort with the eerie to another level. On June 23rd, the entire country celebrates Sankt Hans Aften, the Midsummer Festival. The evening is long and glowing. The smell of grilled sausages drifts through the air, and laughter leads you to a bonfire on the beach. Hundreds gather, children running with sparklers, couples clinking beers, and right in the flames, a life-size straw witch. This tradition goes back hundreds of years, blending pagan rituals with Christian influence. People once believed that midsummer was when evil spirits were strongest, so burning an effigy of a witch was a way to send her off to Blocksberg, a mythical German mountain where witches supposedly gathered. Today, it's less about superstition and more about community. People sing folk songs, listen to speeches, and watch as the witch burns, not in fear but in fascination. It's mysterious, it's heartwarming, and it's one of those rare moments where history, myth, and modern life all meet under a summer sunset. Fact 3. The forgotten giants of Copenhagen. So imagine walking through a quiet Danish forest. Birds are chirping, leaves crunch under your shoes, and suddenly you see it. A giant. Not a person in costume, but a 20-foot-tall wooden sculpture just lounging against a hill, as if it's been there for centuries. Its hands are carved from scrap wood. Its face is calm and gentle, almost like it's guarding the forest. This isn't a fairy tale, it's actually part of a real-life treasure hunt created by Danish artist Thomas Dambo. He's hidden 6 enormous forgotten giants in and around Copenhagen, all built from recycled wood. The idea? Well, it's to encourage people to explore nature, search for art in unexpected places, and rediscover the joy of adventure. The catch is you won't find them on tourist maps. You have to track them down using cryptic clues, winding trails, and honestly, a little luck. When you finally stumble upon one, it feels like stepping into a storybook. Except here, the trolls aren't monsters, they're protectors. This is art you can climb on, sit inside, and really interact with. A magical blend of folklore and eco-creativity that turns a casual hike into a quest. Fact 4. An island run entirely by women. Take a short ferry ride to the island of Laeso, and it honestly feels like entering another world. The salty air lingers, the houses wear these thick seaweed-covered roofs, and there's this quiet strength in the way life moves here. Back in the 17th century, most of the island's men were gone for months, sometimes even years, working at sea or on the mainland. So left behind, the women ran everything. They managed farms, operated the salt works, settled disputes, and decided how the land was used. Over time, this created a female-led society that really shaped the island's identity. Even today, you can see traces of that matriarchal tradition. While leadership is more balanced now, women still play a central role in local business, politics, and daily life. And those seaweed roofs, they're not just quirky. The women of Laeso perfected the technique, layering tons of eelgrass to create roofs that could last centuries without needing replacement. The island kind of flips traditional roles upside down and makes you rethink what leadership can look like. Fact 5, a nuclear bunker turned mega museum. Now picture this, you're walking down a dim concrete hallway. The air is cool and still, your footsteps echoing against walls so thick they were built to withstand a nuclear blast. But instead of soldiers or stockpiles, you turn a corner and see glowing art installations. Welcome to Regan Vest, Denmark's Cold War secret. Buried 60 meters underground and stretching over 5,500 square meters, this bunker was once the most secure place in Denmark, built to shelter the government during nuclear war. It had living quarters, a hospital, its own power supply, and enough resources to sustain 350 people for months. For decades, almost no one knew it existed. But when it was finally declassified, Denmark chose a bold path. Instead of abandoning it, they transformed it into a museum. Visitors can explore the same corridors where leaders once planned for the unthinkable, but instead of wartime drills, they now find immersive exhibitions blending history, politics, and art. It feels surreal, part time capsule, part cultural space. You come expecting Cold War paranoia, and you leave thinking about resilience, creativity, and how even the most fear-built places can be transformed into something beautiful. Fact 6, Christmas beer season. It's the first Friday of November in Denmark, and you're walking through Copenhagen when suddenly, chaos. People are running out of offices, bars are packed to bursting, and beer trucks roll through the streets blasting music. It looks like the city just won the World Cup, but this is actually J-Dag, short for Julebrig Day, the release day for Denmark's special Christmas beer. Breweries, especially Tuborg, only brew it once a year. At exactly 8:59 p.m., taps start flowing all over the country. Here's the twist. This frenzy began as nothing more than an advertising campaign. Back in the 1990s, Tuborg invented J-Dag to promote their holiday brew, thinking it might just be a fun gimmick, but Danes loved it so much that it became a real national tradition. Now it's basically an unofficial holiday where beer flows freely, people wear silly blue Santa hats, and strangers toast like lifelong friends. The best part, there's no Christmas tree or carols in sight. It's pure Danish coziness with a wild celebratory twist. It's the only time of year where Merry Christmas comes with a foamy head and a 5.6% kick. And while this tradition brings people together above ground, Denmark's next marvel takes you deep below, into a structure that's part bridge, part something completely unexpected. Fact 7. A bridge that turns into an underwater tunnel. You're driving out of Copenhagen, heading east towards Sweden. The road stretches endlessly, a sleek ribbon of asphalt suspended over the sparkling blue waters of the Øresund Strait. Wind turbines spin on the horizon. Sunlight glints off the waves, and for a while you think it's just a really long bridge, but then it vanishes. Without warning, the highway dives into the sea, not into water itself, but into a perfectly engineered tunnel that runs beneath the waves for nearly 4 kilometers. It's as if you've driven straight into a secret underwater world. This is the Øresund Link, a mind-bending piece of engineering that's half bridge, half tunnel, and all genius. The reason for this design isn't just to impress. Ships needed clearance and planes needed flight paths. A full bridge would have been too tall for air traffic, too short for shipping. The solution? Build a bridge to an artificial island and from there dive beneath the sea. When you re-emerge on the other side, you're no longer in Denmark, you're in Sweden. In just 15 minutes, you've crossed an international border without a single checkpoint. It's the kind of journey that makes you wonder what other Danish creations are hiding in plain sight. Like an entire city built from something you probably played with as a child. Fact 8. Legoland's crazy attention to detail. You step into Legoland Billund expecting a simple theme park for kids, maybe a few rides, some plastic brick displays, and the nostalgia of snapping blocks together. But then you look closer and the magic kicks in. A tiny boat drifts along a Lego river past a perfect little city skyline. You lean in and notice the streetlights work. Traffic signals change. The miniature train runs on schedule. Wait long enough and tiny Lego workers will even repair a road while Lego tourists snap Lego photos with Lego cameras. Here's the twist. This isn't just a playground. The miniature section alone is built from more than 50 million bricks, each scene a faithful recreation of real places, down to the exact number of windows on a famous building. Some models even hide secret moving parts, only revealed if you linger. Engineers and artists work year-round to keep it alive, swapping bricks like mechanics changing tires. And it's not just Denmark on display. You can stroll from New York to Amsterdam in a single walk. It's like a world tour, if the world were made entirely of blocks and whimsy. Fact 9. The law that lets you camp anywhere. Imagine this. You're hiking through Denmark's countryside. Rolling fields stretch before you, quiet forests surround you, and a coastline glimmers in the distance. The sun begins to set, and you realize there's no hotel, no campsite, no Airbnb for miles. In most countries, that's a problem. In Denmark, that's your green light. Here's the twist. Thanks to the country's right to roam policy, you can pitch your tent almost anywhere in nature, completely free. Forests, meadows, quiet beaches, it's all fair game as long as you follow a few simple rules. Keep it small, don't leave a mess, and don't overstay. Danes believe nature belongs to everyone, not just landowners or corporations. That's why over 200 public forests and countless stretches of wild land are open for what they call primitive camping. No fees, no permits, just you, your tent, and the Danish night sky. The funny part? Sometimes primitive isn't primitive at all. You might stumble upon a shelter with firewood already stacked, or a hidden spot with a view so perfect it feels like it should cost a fortune. It's freedom with a side of trust. A trust that visitors will respect the land so the land can keep giving back. And while this law opens up the entire country for exploration, one of Denmark's most beloved exports isn't really theirs at all. That's where the next twist comes in. In fact, Danish pastries aren't Danish. You're in a Copenhagen bakery early in the morning. The smell of fresh butter and sugar practically pulls you in by the nose. Behind the glass, there they are, the golden, flaky spirals and custard-filled delights the world calls Danish pastries. It feels almost patriotic to order one here, right? Like eating pizza in Naples or sushi in Tokyo. But here's the thing, they're not Danish at all. These beloved pastries actually came from Austria in the 1850s during a baker's strike in Copenhagen. Bakery owners brought in replacements from Vienna who introduced their own sweet laminated dough recipes. The Danes loved them so much they kept making them, but with their own twist. They added local fillings like custard, almond paste, and berries, giving the pastries the flavor profile we know today. And in Denmark, they don't even call them Danish. They're wienerbrød, literally Vienna bread. The name Danish pastry only stuck internationally because travelers couldn't pronounce the local term. So the next time you bite into one of those flaky, buttery layers, remember, you're actually eating a little piece of culinary history that's half Austrian, half Danish, and all delicious. But if you think that's the only export with a surprising backstory, wait until you see the amusement park that inspired Walt Disney himself. Step through the gates of Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen and it feels like stepping into a dream. Lanterns hang from trees, flower beds explode with color, and the air smells of popcorn and roasted almonds. You hear the click-clack of a wooden roller coaster, one of the oldest in the world, still running after more than a century. At first glance, you might think Tivoli is just another quaint European theme park. A little vintage, a little charming, but here's the twist. It's not just any park. In 1951, a young Walt Disney visited Tivoli and was blown away. He studied everything, the attention to detail, the mix of rides, gardens, music, and restaurants. When he went back to California, those notes became the blueprint for Disneyland. In other words, without Tivoli Gardens, Disney parks might not exist the way we know them today. But Tivoli didn't just inspire Disney, it kept its own identity. Instead of trying to be bigger or flashier, it stayed intimate and magical, updating rides without losing its old-world charm. Locals still visit just to walk the gardens, grab dinner, and watch fireworks on summer nights. And while Tivoli's magic comes from lights and laughter, the next Danish obsession is about something much quieter, turning coziness into a way of life. It's a cold winter night in Denmark. Outside, the wind is sharp enough to make your eyes water, but inside the room is warm. Candles flicker on the table, a blanket is draped over your shoulders, and a pot of coffee steams gently between friends. This feeling has a name, hygge, pronounced huga. It's often described as coziness, but that barely scratches the surface. Hygge is about creating moments of warmth, connection, and contentment, whether that's sharing cake with family, reading by a window while it rains, or talking late into the night with friends. Here's the twist. Hygge isn't just an accidental Danish habit, it's almost a national strategy. In the long, dark winters, Danes have mastered the art of crafting happiness in small doses. Psychologists even credit hygge as one reason Denmark consistently ranks among the world's happiest countries. It's not about wealth or luxury, it's about intentional joy. And the best part? You don't need to be in Denmark to do it. Light a candle, slow down, put your phone away, and be fully present in the moment. That's hygge. It's proof that happiness isn't always about chasing big dreams. Sometimes it's as simple as cherishing the small ones. It's 7:45 a.m. in Copenhagen. The streets hum with movement, but it's not the sound of engines. It's the steady whir of bicycle wheels. Office workers in suits, parents with kids in front baskets, and students with coffee in one hand and handlebars in the other, all cruising to work or school as if it's the most natural thing in the world. Funny enough, this isn't just a city thing. Across Denmark, there are more bikes than cars. In Copenhagen alone, bicycles actually outnumber people. The country has built over 12,000 kilometers of dedicated cycle paths, many of them completely separated from car traffic. In some places, there are even bike-only bridges and traffic lights designed to keep cyclists moving without stopping. And the weather? It doesn't stop anyone. Rain, snow, or wind, Danes just throw on a poncho and keep pedaling. The bicycle isn't a green lifestyle choice here, it's the default way to get around. It's also social. You can chat with a friend while riding side by side, drop your kids off without ever getting stuck in traffic, and skip the stress of parking entirely. When tourists visit, they often realize something surprising. Biking in Denmark isn't just transportation, it's a quiet kind of freedom. But while the bike paths crisscross the land, Denmark's future may well be powered by something that rises high above them. Giant white blades spinning in the wind. Drive through Denmark's countryside, and you'll notice them, tall white giants turning slowly against the sky. At first you might think, oh nice, some wind turbines for clean energy. But here's the twist. Denmark doesn't just dabble in wind power. On many windy days, the country produces more electricity than it actually needs, and the extra energy is sold to neighboring nations. That's right, this small Scandinavian country is sometimes powering other countries with nothing but the breeze. It wasn't always this way. Back in the 1970s, after an oil crisis shook the world, Denmark decided to bet big on wind. Over decades, they built one of the most advanced wind industries on Earth, with turbines so efficient that a single rotation of the blades can power an average Danish home for a whole day. Many turbines are even owned by local communities, so when the wind blows, the profits flow back to the people living nearby. Standing under one of these massive machines, you hear a low, steady whoosh, like the heartbeat of a country that has figured out how to turn nature into independence. And speaking of independence, our final fact isn't about machines or technology. It's about something far more human. How Denmark became known as one of the happiest places on Earth, with a twist you won't see coming. Year after year, Denmark shows up at the top of the World Happiness Report. At first glance, it's easy to assume life here is perfect. Free healthcare, free education, safe streets, and picture-book cities where everyone seems to smile. But here's the twist. Danish happiness isn't about constant joy or the absence of problems. In fact, Danes often describe themselves as content rather than happy in the way we usually think of it. The real secret lies in low expectations and high trust. Sounds strange, right? But it works. People here don't expect life to be a non-stop thrill ride. They value balance, security, and time with family over chasing endless ambition. And because trust in government, institutions, and each other is so high, there's less stress about what if things go wrong. Even taxes, some of the highest in the world, are seen as a fair trade for a system that takes care of everyone. It's a happiness built not on luck, but on design, and maybe that's the real takeaway. Happiness here isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you build together. So next time you think happiness means more, faster, bigger, remember Denmark, where the secret is slowing down, sharing what you have, and finding joy in the small, steady moments. And that's Denmark, where cemeteries are for picnics, witches burn every summer, and happiness is built one cozy moment at a time. Which fact surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear. And if you enjoyed this little journey, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible corners of the world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep wondering, and stay curious.